Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Paranormal News. Tonight's article comes from ctpost.com, and the headline is CT Paranormal Researcher Dishes Truth on Ghost Hunting. It's written by Andrew DeRosa, and it was published October 6, 2020. So this ought to be interesting. In a crowded field of people attempting to uncover the truth behind the existence of paranormal entities, it often becomes daunting for the general public to infer what is indeed fact and what is fiction. With shows such as Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures, people's only knowledge of the field may only come from sensationalized media that aims to make the practice a sort of action film rather than a scientific study. However, according to David Bray, the co-founder and lead investigator of the Eastern Connecticut Paranormal Society, this is further from the truth of actual paranormal investigating. If I take a photo and I say, oh, there's a ghost in the photo, well, because we have no scientific definition of what a ghost is or what it is made of, I actually can't say that it is a ghost in the photo, said Bray. It's not about the thrill of getting evidence, it's about helping people, added Bray. Bray helped co-found ECPS in 2015 when he met fellow paranormal researcher Chris O'Connor. O'Connor, who is a psychic medium, convinced Bray to work together, despite Bray never previously conducting formal paranormal investigations. I was very skeptical going in, and he actually impressed me so much that we decided to form a group, said Bray. For the past 5 years, the duo of Bray and O'Connor, as well as a team of other paranormal investigators, have been conducting paranormal investigations throughout New England, bringing them to sites such as the Infield Demon House and the Barnes Museum in Southington. According to Bray, the team does roughly 50 investigations a year, which does not include meetings with potential clients, as well as the stream of phone calls and emails that the team receive on a daily basis. We actually do more along the lines of debunking and disproving paranormal activity, said Bray. This is just one of those things where we want to stray from being lumped into the same category as other paranormal teams. Bray states that team uses the same tools as the paranormal investigators on TV. However, ECPS uses the tools as a way to help aid their research. Additionally, the team says they welcome scientific scrutiny of their work, often working with dermatologists and anthropologists to provide clarity to their findings. When discussing the extent of their work, Bray explained that the term paranormal isn't necessarily restricted to ghosts. The term can also be applied to cryptozoological figures, black magic, and demons, the latter of which they have had hands-on experience with. I tried to develop a communication system with whatever was knocking on the wall, said Bray, when discussing communicating with a demonic entity during an investigation. You're talking to the air, basically, and when you say knock twice for yes and ask a question, and then hear 2 loud knocks, you can pretty much hold a conversation with whatever is knocking on the wall. Bray realized his talent in the field of paranormal investigation at a young age, claiming to have knowledge of things previously unknown to him. As a teenager, Bray would explore abandoned sites and haunted cemeteries, which only helped pique his interest in the paranormal. Eventually, Bray would go on to discover that he was a psychic empath, a person who is able to feel energy and interpret it. What a psychic empath does is, instead of seeing, they feel the energy of people, places, and objects, said Bray. They then take that information and interpret it into a form of knowledge that was not previously known to them. Most of these experiences, as Bray explains, are subjective, but nonetheless are important qualities in the field of paranormal research. However, Bray admits that many people claim to be psychic empaths despite not fully understanding the essence of their practice. It's like the New Age movement. Everyone is claiming to be an empath, said Bray. Being an empath has allowed Bray to have an unparalleled insight into investigations, even going as far as feeling the exact pain of what a client may have felt. Every time I would walk into the kitchen, I would get sharp shooting pains in the left side of my head. said Bray regarding a private investigation ECPS conducted. I then went through the logical steps of whether I was having caffeine withdrawal or just tired, but every time I left the kitchen, it went away. At the end of the case, we found out that the kitchen is where the client's mother died of a heroin overdose, and she fell and cracked the left side of her head open on the counter. Despite the glamour and hype surrounding the paranormal, Bray continues to remain grounded in realism, working by ECPS's mission statement to find the truth. His work, Bray believes, isn't about staging a religion versus science debate, rather merging the worlds of science and parascience in order to discover things beyond our current comprehension. Additionally, Bray notes the dangers of the field, especially the weight that this material has on those with mental illness. We've had a lot of cases where we debunked paranormal activity and attributed it to a psychiatric issue, which was then taken around as a diagnosis by a psychiatrist, said Bray. If we go in there and we say that your paranormal activity is indeed paranormal, and you have medical issues, not only could we be held liable for negligence, but we are enabling that mental illness for you, possibly making it worse and not helping. And that is the end of the article. So there's a lot to say about this. First of all, on the psychiatric issues. It is true that a lot of times when you go in and you do an investigation for a family or somebody that is having problems, sometimes it is a psychiatric issue that that person has and there's nothing paranormal going on. 100% true. As a paranormal investigator, he is not qualified, nor am I qualified, to tell somebody what their psychiatric issue is. We can say, hey man, I think this guy might have an issue, have a mental illness issue, and he should get checked out by a psychiatrist. But the reason you would say something like that is, one, because of the way the person is acting and the experiences the person is having as it relates to the evidence that you've actually found. When you go in and you do your investigation, if you're not picking up anything on the spirit box, you're not picking up any EMF, you're not picking up any kind of weird phenomena at all, if nothing is happening, even then you can't say it's a psychiatric issue. All you can say is, I haven't found any evidence of what you're talking about. I can recommend that you go speak to somebody, but to claim that it's a psychiatric issue when you have no knowledge of whether it actually is or not, because you're not trained for that, seems to me to be a bit irresponsible. The only other thing I would say is, in the beginning of this article, he talks a lot of trash about the TV shows and the public ghost hunter people, right? And a lot of people do that. A lot of people talk a lot of trash about that. So I'm not defending or chastising him for that. But what I would say is he puts so much emphasis on the science. This paragraph right here is a perfect illustration. The one where he said, if I take a photo and I say, oh, there's a ghost in the photo. Well, because we have no scientific definition of what a ghost is or what it is made of, I actually can't say that it is a ghost in the photo. So he's trying to be ultra sciencey here and saying, well, technically you can't say it's a ghost because we don't exactly know what makes up a ghost and blah, 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 right? But then he goes from that extreme all the way over to being a psychic empath and being able to feel how a person died in the house long ago, which is 100% not scientific at all. Any mainstream scientist would laugh at you if you said that, because there's no scientific basis for that whatsoever. That's never been proven to be a real thing. There are people that claim they can do it, and I'm not saying they can't. I happen to believe that there are people that can feel that and do that. I'm actually on this guy's side as far as him being able to do that. I think he probably can, because I believe that can be done. But science has never recognized that that's true. Science has never proven one way or the other that psychics are real or not real, or empaths are real or not real. So if you're going by that same standard of, you can't even say when you clearly see an apparition in a picture that it's an apparition or a ghost, you clearly can't say that because you don't know every particular molecular makeup of a ghost and all this nonsense, right? If you're going to go that far to try to prove you're a sciencey scientific man, you very well can't put forth as evidence of what you're talking about the fact that you could feel how a person died in the house years and years ago. That's silly. Not saying it's not true. I believe you probably could feel that, dude. I believe you did it. But it wouldn't pass the sniff test scientifically. You can't prove that. Feelings are subjective. Feelings are not science. You can't prove what you feel. You can prove like maybe a pain stimuli. You could jab somebody with a needle and you could measure the reaction of the nerve impulses. You could do that. That's a way to prove a feeling, but that's a physical feeling. That's not an emotional feeling like this would be. Now, he had a physical feeling in his head, but it was based on emotion. I don't think he was being outright disrespectful to anybody, really. I think a little bit, but not a whole lot. I hope that I wasn't being disrespectful to this gentleman. I was just pointing out some things in the article that I thought were kind of sketchy, because if you're going to do an article where you say it's the truth on ghost hunting, you are implying that all the other ghost hunting people, all the other paranormal people won't tell you the truth. That's why this article's special, because you're going to tell the truth that nobody else wants to tell. And then you're going to bash stuff on your site, right? You're going to bash in the article the TV shows. You're going to bash people that claim to be empaths, but then you claim to be an empath. You see what I'm saying? If things don't add up, I'm always going to speak the truth. And I think this is a case of somebody taking himself a little bit too seriously. That's what I think of this. I think that he's trying to say, I'm a real paranormal investigator, but all these other people aren't, because they pretend it's a battle when it's not. It's an investigation. It's research. It's science. Well, everything you talked about in here wasn't science. It just wasn't. And as far as it being a battle, I think maybe you hold that view because you don't have the kind of experience that some of the people that actually go out and do battle have. You talk about having experience with demonic entities, but then the only example you give is that you told something to knock on the wall and it knocked. So I guess that makes it a demon? I don't understand where the demonic part comes in there. But I mean, I work on a team that has a church-sanctioned exorcist that actually works demonic cases. And I can tell you sometimes it is a battle. Now, it's not a pull out your sword and put on your armor and fight kind of battle, usually. So every once in a while you get somebody get a little rowdy and you got to get a little physical, but it's a spiritual battle 100%. And anybody that would try to claim that going in and trying to get rid of a demon from a family and help somebody who has an attachment or who has a possession or something like that, anybody that would claim that that is not a battle does not have any kind of real experience with demonic entities. I'll say that flat out. Because from what I've seen and what I've done, it 100% is a battle. These families are being attacked. This isn't a case of going in and just hoping you catch a voice on a spirit box, or having something knock when you say knock. And ooh, look at me, I'm a paranormal expert now. I captured a little bit of evidence. This is children trying to kill themselves. This is fathers wanting to murder their whole family. This is members of the family getting diseases and in car accidents and horrible things. This is serious business when you're dealing with the demonic entity. This is not playtime. This is not a science experiment where you're going to get some kind of answer on a box, dude. This is life and death battle that's going on with these families. So maybe what you're doing is not a battle, but please don't belittle or scoff at the idea that there is spiritual warfare going on, because there is 100%. I happen to be lucky enough to be on a team that is doing that work with a very talented group of guys. We have an exorcist that 100% puts on the armor of God and goes to war with these things. We have a demonologist who studies and goes to war to try to save these families. I myself am a pastor. I go to war to try to save these families. So while there is a side of the paranormal that is scholarly and research, if you truly are in it to help people, like you claim in the article, then you should know that. You should know that these families are under attack sometimes. We're not talking about cases where a family here is running around in the attic or something and wants you to come check it out and see what it is. And then you have to decide whether it's a rat up there or whether it's a ghost. Those cases are not the ones that we get called on. Those cases are important because you're still helping people and you're helping to ease their mind. But what I'm talking about is cases where people are literally being attacked, where they're in danger. That is 100% a battle. So that's all I have to say about the subject. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Let me know what you think of the article. Let me know what you think of the whole idea of demons attacking families and all that kind of stuff. And as always, thank you for all your support, and I will catch you on the next one. Until I speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do I. Bye bye.